first 3 steps was immigrate, increase, eliminate. Immigrate as a religious refugee, increase the number of your followers and demand political accommodation, and then eliminate the previous culture. So I was speaking in Detroit area, and afterwards had people come up and visit around the book table, and they were telling me about a lady who had a ministry to pregnant mothers. So she shows up at a Muslim house, has a little present. Well, out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom. Out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom. Out of a bedroom comes another pregnant Muslim mom, all pregnant by the same man. He's practicing Sharia law in his house. And then someone else says, oh yeah, Fazil bought a bunch of houses on the street, has a wife in each one.
Where was this?
In Detroit area. The wives go down to the welfare office and say their husband's not around. He goes and visits them, and the more kids they have, the larger the checks get. And he's living like a king at state expense, and all the kids playing in the middle of the street are his children. He's practicing Sharia law on his block. They take over several more blocks, and they vote in the school board. And now they have their Sharia in the schools. And then they take over more blocks. They vote in the police department, fire department. And in Hamtramck, Detroit, they vote in the majority of the city council. They have their minarets, their calls to prayer 5 times a day, no different than Pakistan. So we see the first ones come in as immigrants, and they're nice, and they're so nice, everybody says they're nice, nothing to fear, let more in, more come in, they gravitate together, form a community. Imam shows up and says, okay, you need to start getting a little more serious about this, more fundamental. Then the burqas start appearing, people say the neighborhood's changing, they move out, more Muslims move in. And then there's always that stickler that says, I refuse to move out. And that's when there's random violence from Muslim youth. And there's no witnesses, because no Muslim family dare testify against another Muslim family on behalf of some kafir infidel that's hanging in the neighborhood. And so eventually they take over the entire neighborhood. And they do this neighborhood by neighborhood, city by city, block by block, until they take over countries. And there's 1,400 years of track record to observe this pattern. So they took over Egypt, which used to be Coptic Christian. They took over Syria, which used to be Christian. They took over all of Turkey, which used to be Christian. Took over all of North Africa, which used to be. They took Spain, held it for 700 years until the Spaniards drove them out.
Welcome to the J.J. Carrell Show. I played you that because I watched that earlier today as I'm preparing for my show, and I was like, this guy articulates exactly what is happening to Western Europe and is happening now in the United States of America. And he's absolutely 100% spot on. When 9/11 happened, and we can get into that another day, but 9/11 happened because of 19 goat herders got on and learned how to fly Cessnas, and then they were able to commandeer planes, jetliners, and then was able to control it, even though you have to go to years and years and years and years of flight training to be able to do it. But they slammed planes into buildings and destroyed the World Trade Center. And then a soft wind came and knocked down building number 7, but that's another story. So what was America's response? I remember this as clear as day. The very first call of action was not, let's get rid of everyone in our country from the Middle East. No, it was, when is the Islamophobia going to start and the racism? So we went from 3,000 of our brothers and sisters died to it's your fault, America, and you better watch yourself. Then the second thing happened under George Bush, because he was worthless as many of all the other presidents were worthless. What did he do? What did America do? Well, we quadrupled the amount of Muslims in our country from 9/11. Now, why would anyone do that? That's like me sitting here and we get invaded by Germans and we finally get some kind of control, and our response is, let's bring in more Germans. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? Well, it's crazy because it is crazy. But it's not crazy stupid, because this was not done by stupid people. The invasion of the United States of America was strategic, it was intentional, and it was purposeful. There were not stupid people that did this. They may be evil, and they are. They may have a completely different ideological system, moral system, but they're not stupid. And I would argue that they're smarter than us, because they're winning. They're winning. We have more Muslims in our country today than ever before. They're reproducing at almost an 8-to-1 ratio. UN data says it's 5-1, but when they get into Western nations, they kind of reprocreate like rabbits. 8, 9, 10 kids. Our women are killing our babies, like literally killing our babies. And the ones that do survive out of the vaginal canal, we like to mutilate their genitals by the age of 12. That's the new fad in America. This is a destination for hell. Absolute hell. You can look at Dearborn, Michigan. You can look at Laughlin, Ohio. You can look at many places in Texas. You can look at places in Florida now. California, Los Angeles, mosques are going up all over the place. I live in Kansas. There's a gigantic mosque down the road from me. Charlie Kirk said this the most as he could, the most articulate and clear way when he said the Western world in Islam is incompatible. We are incompatible. Our Constitution trumps everything. It was created by divine providence, so our Constitution is interwoven with God, even though that we become secularized. We are interwoven with God in our belief in Jesus Christ. Muslims believe their Sharia law trumps everything. Everything. And they tell us that it trumps everything. And I've said this before, and I got some pushback. I believe that the Muslims are a honorable adversary. Do I believe in anything they say? No. Do I despise them? Yes, I do. Do I think that we can drive them back and out of our country because I don't think they're that tough? Yeah, I do. But I have to be honest. I have to tip my hat. I have to give them the respect that's due them because they tell us what they're going to do. They don't hide behind lawyers. They don't sit there and try to play semantics and undermine America. They just come straight out and tell you, this is what we're going to do. We're going to use the Constitution, your Constitution, to drive Sharia law. And before you know it, we will own cities, and then we will own states. And there's nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do. And they are absolutely correct. They're building a giant Muslim community in Texas, and they're naming the streets after the terrorist. And there's nothing you can do about it. Because our Constitution has been so bastardized, so worthless, that we now somehow find in that beautiful document the need to continue to import these people that hate us. Should all Muslims be moved out of America? Yep. Yeah. Should we do like China does and Russia and tear down the mosque? Yep. Well, that's harsh. That's crazy. That's bigoted. That's against the Constitution. No, it's not. No, it's not. We have a virus that has been brought into the body of America, and that virus is spreading. What do you do with a virus? Do you sit there and you placate it? Do you sit there and try to talk nice to the virus? Do you try to sit there and pray the virus away? Or do you take the medicine that's necessary or take the surgery necessary to remove the virus, to remove the cancer, to remove the tumor? We all know the answer. We just don't want to do it because we're scared to death be called vile, vile names. I don't want to get in the semantics of there's good Muslims and good mosques. Really? I'm not rolling the dice on the future of my son and this country. I'm not going to do it. And have you ever asked yourself, just honestly, ask yourself, of all the Muslim countries in the world, I believe there's over 50, why do they all come to Western nations that are all Christian, that don't believe in Sharia law? Why do they come to ours? They could have gone to all the other countries. Well, the vast majority of all the other countries won't take all those Muslims. And the ones that decide, I'm not going to a Muslim country, I'm going to America, I'm going to France, Germany, Europe, because I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to take over what our founding fathers of our faith could not do. And we're not going to go to war and try to bomb our way in, because you can't. You don't have enough people. You don't have any technology. When you go to the bathroom, you use a rock to wipe yourself. You live in desert tents, in caves. You ride donkeys and camels. You're not like us. We're better. We're more advanced. As I showed on the show yesterday, you, the Muslim countries, love to inbreed, meaning you love to have sex and marry your first cousins, causing your IQ level to dip below retardation. But what did we do as Americans? We brought in tens of millions of retarded people. And those retarded people are violent. Those retarded people don't share any of our values. Those retarded people are easily manipulated because they are retarded. And we did this to ourselves. One nation that refused to do it, that's Viktor Orban from Hungary. Listen to what he says. He doesn't have any Muslims in his country. You know who else doesn't have Muslims in their country? That'd be Poland. You know why they don't? Because they love their white race and they love their Christian values, and they don't want savages, retarded, inbred people in their country. Period. What a novel idea. Truly, it's novel. Listen to Viktor Orban and tell me if you disagree with anything he says.
The migration issue is so complicated. Legally, it's very simple, to cross the borderline without a permission is a crime. Full point, it's over. The problem is that migration is a concept of changing the society as such.
Yeah.
It's a kind of replacement of the original native-born voters with somebody else. And this is, without being involved into any conspiracy theory, this is a well-detailed plan of the left. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because, my understanding of the history is probably not as sophisticated as yours, but if I understand correctly, the last 150 years of the European, including UK anyway, mm-hmm. The European politics, it's about a competition of two tribes. One is those who think that we should stay in the traditional frame and value system of Europe as it was. Nation, freedom, Christianity, that's all.
Not one thing he said is incorrect. You can walk down, it's almost Christmas time, so their Christmas center's up. Spectacular, beautiful. I went to one in Germany once, and I thought, my gosh, I want to go back. It's spectacular. Can't go back there. Why? Because the Muslims have taken over, and they say that this is an affront to Islam and the Prophet. So they won't let people go into the Christmas centers and enjoy their life. Well, they'll do what they did last year and drive one of their cars at about 100 miles an hour and run over and kill about 15, 20 people. But Viktor Orban and the Polish people, nope. Hungary and Poland, no. And guess what they have? Beautiful Christmas nativity scenes, villages that you go into. Why? Because no one's afraid of a suicide bomber with an IQ of 45. What happens in America when we allow tens of millions of people into America that are illegal aliens? 60 to 70% of all the illegal aliens that came into America, there was 30 million of them in 4 years under Biden, are single adult military age men from the continent of Africa, Middle East, Haiti, and Venezuela. What happens when you bring in soldiers? Well, corruption begins to happen. I want you to watch this Fox News report about Doge and the Social Security numbers. All of this ties in perfectly, and I'll explain it as we go. But this is what's happening to you, America. You are feeding and providing financial wherewithal to kill yourself. Watch this.
Box to reveal what's really going on. Doge exposed our immigration asylum disaster. That was the tip of the iceberg. Now, here's the story. Doge has found that immigration gave a work authorization document to illegals just 5 months after they filed for asylum. That document allowed them to work while they waited to hear whether their asylum request had been accepted or denied. So they could work as an illegal, knowing it would take years before their case was heard. The Immigration Department mailed them a Social Security number. No interview, no proof of identity. They just put it in the mail. Here's your number. In 2021, Doge says 270,000 new aliens were issued Social Security numbers, 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, and 2.1 million in 24, right before Biden left office. Doge also discovered that 1.3 million aliens are now receiving Medicaid. Millions received driver's licenses, some registered to vote, and Doge says some actually did vote. Try and square that against Democrat claims that Musk is destroying Social Security and cutting Medicaid. He's not destroying, he's weeding out people who don't qualify. Who is really guilty of misinformation in this case? It is not Elon Musk.
Let me be very clear. It's not 2.1 million in 2024. Kristi Noem has already come out and said it is now over 9 million illegal aliens were given Social Security numbers. 9 million. 6,000 within that 9 million were found to be people on the terror watch list. I have been screaming about this in documentaries and books and public speaking in my podcast that we have never been, our nation has never been this vulnerable. Our republic has never been this vulnerable to capture. There is no other outcome except a violent and painful war inside of our country. These people will not leave. Donald Trump has ordered ICE agents into Dearborn, Michigan. How do you think that's going to go? How do you think that's going to play out? That might be the genesis of everything. That might be the start of the war to eradicate those people from our nation. One thing I love about X is the common man gets to speak. And the common man has more intellect, more common sense, and speaks more truth than any of the polished politicians, talking heads. And this guy is a perfect example. And I want to play this clip talking about foreigners that come into our country. It's just common sense. Go ahead and play this, Nick.
Just so we're clear, if a foreigner comes to your country and demands that you accept their culture as your culture, or demands that you change your beliefs, that is not a foreigner. That is not an immigrant. What that is an invader. That is someone that is coming over to your space to take over and invade it. So when you sit there and you look at what's happening in New York, you look at what's happening in Texas, you look at what's happening in the places where these people came from, you look at Somalia, you look at all of these individuals who are being put into a position of power who support this type of invasion. You need to understand what's coming next. They will take away our weapons. They will tell us that we cannot eat certain foods. They will tell us that we cannot go to certain places. They will tell our women that they have to wear certain clothes. They will tell them that they have to dress modest. They will force them to do a lot of different things. You will have to deal with people praying in the middle of the street while you're driving and stopping you and invading your movement, your space. You need to understand what's taking place in America so that you can understand that these people are not coming here with good intentions. This is not me saying that I hate people. This is me basically saying, look, if you like the fact that America is a free place where you get the freedom to believe in what religion you want to believe in. If you get the freedom to decide what you want to do, as long as nobody is getting hurt. If you love that part of America, the freedom of choice part of America, you need to understand when people come over and they say that you don't have a choice, they probably should go, because you don't get to tell us what to do in our own country. It's not being rude. It's just saying, hey, look, this country was built in a way where everybody can come here and feel happy and feel blessed and enjoy the fact that this is a free nation, not a nation that will be enslaved by any foreigner invading it.
He's spot on. The only thing that I would argue about that he said is of his I don't want to be rude. I want to be rude. Get the hell out of my country. Period. Our country is our home. So if you had an unwelcome guest in your home, you didn't ask for them to come. You just came home from, say, church or school, and all of a sudden there's 5 dudes in your house. They don't speak English. They've eaten all your food. Your wife is over there crying because she got raped. They're doing things to your children that are unspeakable. And you sit there and take it because you've been programmed, propagandized to be a loser. And then when you tell them to get out, then they fight you. And know what they do? They throw your ass out. That's what's happened in Islamic communities across America. Go look at Europe. But you don't have to go across the pond. You just look here in America. How do you think the people in Dearborn and parts of Texas that like to hear the call to prayer 5 times a day, do you think that's an infringement on your way of life? But they take it. Why? Why do they take it? Because the chief of police is a Muslim. The majority police officers are Muslim. The city council is Muslim. The mayor is a Muslim. You're not going to get anything done. You could sit up there and you could scream into the wind. They're not going to do anything. Why? Because they don't have to. They own your house now. And you're so stupid. You're so gutless. You're so impotent. You still make payments on that house in the form of taxation. You actually pay the salaries of all those people. You actually pay city and county tax to be told to shut up. That the call of prayer at 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:30, whenever they get down on their knees and pray to the pedophile Muhammad, that's just too bad. You're going to have to deal with it. Who doesn't want to hear the beautiful call of pedophiles at 5 o'clock in the morning? I would love that. You honestly can't make this stuff up. Before I came on, I'm looking at my comments on my YouTube and my Rumble, and I get a guy comes out and says, bro, you're too negative. And then a couple people just start attacking him, saying, oh, you know what? Just keep your head in the sand. I know the things I talk about are unpleasant, but I'm not going to sit here and act as if everything's good. I'm not going to sit here and act as everything's good like it's 1980s and 90s with the economy banging and everything's going great. No. If I was back in the 80s, I would be praising Ronald Reagan on the economy, but then I would turn around and say, sir, you just screwed us with your BS amnesty that you just did. You just gave the keys away to the state of California. And I would have been right. And I'm right now. Do you have to be a genius to understand that I'm right? Do you have to be a genius to come to the conclusions that I have come to? No. This is just a simple demographic issue. You bring in people from the third world that don't share anything that you share, don't share language, culture, religion, the idea of individualism. You bring in people that are functionally retarded into a first world, and those retarded people take all of our welfare benefits and steal the other other parts of our welfare benefit, and then out-reproduce us 5 to almost 10 to 1. And you can't come to the conclusion I do because why? Because you don't want to be called a racist? Because you're afraid of your own shadow? Well, I'm not. So I want to say it out loud. And if you don't like it, there's millions of podcasts. Go find someone else. Honestly, I'm not going to sit here and beg you to stay. Pound sand. Pound sand. This is the truth. You don't have to like it. I never said, hey, welcome to the JJ Carrell Show. I'm going to make this as nice and as palatable as possible. I want you to stay and be engaged, and I'm going to say things very, very calmly and softly, just so your sensibilities don't get rankled. I never said that. I said I'm going to tell you the truth. Islam is a cancer in America. Islam is not compatible with Western culture. Islam has no place in America. None. Zero. You know where it doesn't have any place? It has no place in our House of Representatives, where we have Muslim leaders with dual allegiance. And I would be kind. That's kind to say dual allegiance. They have an allegiance to their former country. And we need to eradicate state and local government, and especially our federal government, of these savages from the third world. Period. One of my favorite intellectuals in modern time is the great Pat Buchanan, who I believe must be close to the end of his life because he hasn't written articles in 3 years now. One of the greatest current historians of our time, Pat Buchanan. Another guy that I really respect, and that's Victor Davis Hanson. Listen to how he talks about how America is tired of these lies about immigrants and exasperated with their complete lack of gratitude. Play this.
That's why I get really angry when I hear Ilhan Omar. You come over here and then you say that this country is dirty and a dictatorship. How dare you do that? You had nothing to do with the creation of this country. You came over here because this country offers you more security, more prosperity than any other country in the world. And I get so tired. I mean, we're always told, properly so, that a naturalized immigrant has the same claim on America as a nativist born many generations. Yes, that's true, but we ask in exchange a simple requisite. If you come over here and you come across the border, do it legally, but more importantly, have some sense of gratitude that you made that decision. We didn't. You said, I want to come into your place because I don't like my place, whatever don't like means. I'm in danger. I'm poor, whatever. When I come over to your place, I made a decision that it had attractions that I didn't have. Therefore, I will not trash your place. And I will respect the people who made that an enviable place for me to come to.
Victor Davis Hanson, spot on as always. It's not the gratitude. They're not thankful. I mean, let's look at where Ilhan Omar came from. I think the average income in Somalia is like $3 a year. They live in just a complete wasteland. They're starving. They're on an ocean. They're on a body of water. And it's the same crap. They're just poor. They're uneducated. They're inbred. They're incestuous. They're retarded. And what was America's response to that? Give us as many as you can. You don't think that Obama, Mayorkas, Biden, Lindsey Graham, all the gutless Republicans shouldn't be brought up on treason? You're going to try to sell me that they should just be left alone and live their life? Where's justice? The Somali community, 99.9% Muslim. They're all here. They stole $1 billion. $1 billion from the state of Minnesota, with the vast majority coming from the federal coffers. 75 people have been arrested so far. They are the proverbial meme, the African prince sending you emails. They're no different. The continent of Africa is filled with fraudsters and thieves. They know nothing else. Somalians are not working their ass off. They're stealing their ass off. And we just sit here and allow them. Talk about someone that's functionally retarded. All joking aside, Tim Waltz is absolutely functionally retarded. There's no way around it. He's just retarded, and he's evil, and he's stupid, and he's complicit because he knew all this was going on, but he didn't want to upset the Somali community where he gets his votes. So he let them steal. 100,000 people stole over $1 billion. The whole community. It's not 100 people, 75 or 100. It's the whole entire community. They took $400 million out of Medicaid, by falsifying that all their children had autism. No, all their children are functionally retarded. That's a different thing than autism. But they lied about autism, and all the doctors, all the nonprofits, all the NGOs work together to facilitate the fraud. Why are they not all gone now? Why are they still here? Honestly, why are they still here? Don't tell me we can't do it. Pakistan, I talked about this before. Pakistan found that there was millions upon millions of Afghans living in Pakistan. You know what they did their first 30 days? 30 days, not 30 years, first 30 days. They deported 2 million Afghans in 30 days. Are you telling me the third world dump called Pakistan can do that, but America can't do it with ours? Are you really going to try to convince me of that nonsense? Best way for you to support me in this program is to go to my website, jjcarrell.com, and or at jjcarrell.substack.com. Ton of free stuff at both my website and my Substack. Writings, videos, short videos, interviews, everything you want. Please go and visit my website and my Substack. Subscribe. If you want to be a paid subscriber, there's paywalls and to be able to paid subscriber and help fund this show. jjcarrell.com, jjcarrell.substack.com. And the other way is to support the companies that sponsor our show. And that's sat123.com, sat123.com/JJ. Go to that website. See what you need to be prepared. Call the number from the website and be shocked when you hear an American voice, because their customer service is based in America. Incredible, I know. Absolutely incredible that there's an American that actually works customer service in America. What do I have from this company? I have a Starlink system. I have sat phones for my family, and I have a generator with solar panels. And the thing that I cherish the most is my family has several backpacks with ballistic shields built in them. Look, I'm going back to work for ICE here pretty soon, and I will not leave my house. I will not leave the station without my vest on. And when I send my son to school, even though he goes to a Catholic private school that I feel is safe, but the world's not safe, he goes with his own ballistic shield in the form of a backpack, and no one has any idea. He's going on year and a half now. Year and a half using the same backpack. I never got through one school year with my son on a backpack. He'd be shredded and torn up. This backpack doesn't even have dings in it. That's how well it's made. And I'm a big connoisseur of backpacks because I've spent hundreds of dollars a year on backpacks that just get thrashed, rip apart, and I'm sitting there praying through a shoestring just to let me get through another month, so I don't have to spend another 100, 200, 300 bucks for a backpack for 3.5 weeks of school. Same backpack going on year 2. Go to sat123.com, sat123.com/JJ. My producer Nick's telling me that I have links 7 and 8 on my call sheet are the same. I apologize. I tell you what, I can find number 7 or number 8, but can you go ahead and show number 7? I'm going to tee this up if you give me a second. This is a gentleman that was deployed to Afghanistan. And I always love to, I don't want to listen to politicians. I don't want to listen to church leaders. I don't want to listen to really anybody, to be honest with you. But when I do want to hear something from someone, I want to listen to a dude that's been there and done that. And this guy worked in Afghanistan. He had to deal with the locals and all that. And he's telling us, get rid of them all now. Listen to how he explains why they have to go.
President Trump is making the right call to pause all immigration. And I'll tell you that ordinary American citizens cannot fathom the evil that we as Afghan veterans saw in Afghanistan. These people are unbettable. They will not fit into our culture. And as a platoon leader, I had to conduct these key leader engagements with my supposed allies. And they would have these young boys, these chai boys that would serve as tea, and they were sold into sexual slavery to these pedophile men. And also my women that are attached to my unit, the female engagement team, all 3 of them just so happened to be blonde. We had to constantly protect these women from Afghan locals and our allies in the Afghan National Security Forces. If we wouldn't have done that, they would have been beaten and they would have been raped. Now, many of the men I served with in Afghanistan were courageous. I admired a few of them, but I couldn't trust any of them. And we need to deport all of these people as soon as possible to protect our homeland. We should have never brought him into our country to be.
Should have never brought that guy into our country to begin with that shot the 2 National Guard. He's absolutely right. Get them all out of our country right now. Raping boys. That's who we're partnering with, right? So you tell me, I love this with John McCain and Lindsey Graham, all those horrific individuals that kept going back. We have no idea who the enemy is. And who are we partnering with? Oh, we're partnering with the guys that like to have sex and rape young boys. Damn, good. Good call. That aligns somewhere about our Christian values. Maybe your Judeo-Christian values, but not my Christian values. Oh, shut up, JJ. It's America. Have sex with boys is not our problem. It's not they're good for us. These are good people. What? What are you talking about? They're raping boys? Yeah, they're raping boys. Okay, well, that's a good partner. Love it. Let's go with it. Move forward. Can you believe these jackasses have these conversations? Do you think things just happen organically and they're just no one asks them? Or do you think there's behind the scenes discussions? I've been in these behind the scenes discussions where you're just sitting there and you're like, I think my mind's going to explode. You people are the dumbest people on planet Earth. Are you actually saying this out loud? Are you actually contemplating this? Are you actually giving this? So are you defending it? Yeah, there were conversations. We're going to have to partner with these Afghans. They like to rape little boys. What do you think? Ooh, okay, let's do it. Don't worry about it. By the time everyone finds out, it's going to be already over. We'll pull out of Afghanistan and let 13 members of our military get slaughtered, and then we'll actually fly those pedophiles in our C-130s and fly them into America. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do it. Hey, you just got promoted. You think I'm making this up? You think this is like that didn't happen? Absolutely, that happened. Absolutely. Did anybody lose their job? When we pulled out of Afghanistan, did anybody lose their job? Did anybody lose their job? No. No one did. Sometimes I'm just like, and I know I've told you this before. Sometimes I think I have to stop in my office and just turn everything off. And I have to ask myself if I'm honest I have to ask myself, are you crazy? Is it you, JJ? Are you the one that's off center? Are you the one that doesn't see things clearly? Because evidently, a lot of people think this is okay. A lot of high ranking people think this is okay. I'm not the problem. I'm not, and I'm not black pillar, and I'm not somebody that goes to the far right. I'm just some guy that sees things very clearly through common sense. And if it takes you more than 5 minutes to explain to me why what you're doing is correct and we need to keep doing it, then you've already lost me. You ask me, why do we need to close the borders? I'm going to tell you within 30 seconds why we need to close the borders. If you ask me, why do we need to move all the Muslims out of our country and third worlders, it'll take me 15 seconds to tell you. It's not long-winded. I don't have to sit here and try to sell you. I'm just going to tell you the truth. This is what needs to happen. But you can never tell me the truth. You always have to spin it some way. It's like you're selling me something I don't need. I'm not the problem. Do I have all the answers? No. And I don't need to have all the answers, to be quite honest with you. I can point out the problems and say I want it fixed. And then if you're going to ask me what I'm going to do, then I'm going to be in charge of that. And then I'm going to move those people and those things that are the problem out of my country. There needs to be a lot more men like me that are just doers, that are leaders, that other men follow. We don't have a lot of those men. We just don't. I'm going to play this clip from Will Cain from Fox News. And I'll give him to credit, he has been on this and on this and on this. As he talks about the Somalis. Go ahead and watch this.
How many Somalians make up that fabric of our nation? In Minnesota, it's just over 76,000, 5,000 of which currently refugees, and 430 have protected status. Since then, since 1993, there have been 26,000 refugees. But there's also a lot of money being sent to Somalia from abroad. 40% of households there get money transfers. It totals $1.7 billion by the Somali diaspora. Well, that was in 2023. It's also worth pointing out that's more than the budget of Somalia's government in 2023. Where's it coming from? Well, here's an example. The federal child nutrition program, Feeding Our Future, very much in America. The sponsored organization were primarily owned and operated by members of the Somali community. It claimed to be serving thousands of meals a day, 7 days a week to underprivileged children. Spoiler alert, it didn't. The fraud ring used fake meal counts, doctored attendance records, and fabricated invoices, all while raking in quite a bit of money from the government. Just this week, a 36-year-old man became the 78th person charged in the scheme. According to prosecutors, he claimed to serve 6,000 meals a day, 7 days a week at one of the meal sites, which is more than double the number of people who live in the town. In 2019, Feeding Our Future received $3.4 million in federal funding. By 2021, that number was $200 million. In reality, that money was being used to fund lavish lifestyles in the U.S. and elsewhere. And many other schemes spawned from this one. News Nation reports to date, 86 people have been indicted. Of those indicted, federal authorities say 79 of them are Somali descent. We told you about Minnesota's Medicaid Housing Stabilization Services. It was originally created to help seniors, addicts, and others find housing. Program criteria was loose, leading to fraud and costs exploding. 6 people accused of defrauding HSS are members of the Somali community. We also told you about the autism scam, where a woman in the Somali community was one of the many accused of recruiting kids for autism therapy. even if they didn't have autism. As a result, Medicaid claims also surged. Bottom line, we know this fraud is happening, but what's worse is when good prosecutors try to do something about it, and a judge lets the convicts off the hook, like in Hennepin County, where a judge tossed out a jury guilty verdict in a $7.2 million home health care fraud case. In August, Abtifa Yusuf and his wife Lul Ahmed were found guilty by a jury of stealing $7.2 million in taxpayer money through Medicaid overbilling in a personal care assistant scam. According to the Minnesota Attorney General's office, they used stolen funds for, you guessed it, a lavish lifestyle. $1 million into a personal account, $387,000 in cash, $22,000 at a furniture store, $42,000 at luxury car dealers, and $80,000 at high-end clothing stores. But despite all of that, and a quick jury verdict, the judge tossed it out, writing, "While the court is troubled by the manner in which fraud was able to be perpetrated at promise, the state's evidence did not exclude other reasonable, rational inferences that are inconsistent with Mr. Yusuf's guilt." It's all incredible, seemingly
He's right. It's incredible. Our judicial system is to say it's corrupt is being kind. There's no justice in America. Don't you dare believe that for a second. There's no justice. I learned that quickly in the United States Border Patrol, dealing with U.S. attorneys, overworked, understaffed, tons and tons of cases, cutting deals, not prosecuting. It's a boondoggle. It's a boondoggle. There's no justice. Quickly, tell me one person that's been arrested in the last 11 months by Pam Bondi's DOJ. Go ahead, I'm waiting. Go ahead. Go ahead, I'm waiting. You can't give me one? Because there is none. This is low-hanging fruit. This is Mayorkas, open the borders. That's treason. You have Ilhan Omar, marriage fraud. Oh, we're at marriage fraud. Let me just go ahead into this one. Can you go to either, both of them are saying 9 and 10, Nick? Can you just show, this is the gentleman that's already done all the legwork. He has all the receipts. He's telling you, look at all the fraud she has committed, to include marriage fraud and incest. She needs to be deported. But we don't deport her. We just bring in more people like her to bring in more retarded savages that like incest into America with IQs under the 70 threshold of retardation. Do you see a thread here in America? Play this, Nick. This makes me sick.
Also asking Congresswoman Craig to initiate an ethics investigation into Congresswoman Omar because of questions about federal tax fraud, federal immigration fraud, federal student loan fraud, and state violations of perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and acts of campaign fraud abuse in Boston, Washington, New York, Chicago, and Florida. There are also violations of state ethics or of the Minnesota House ethics rules regarding colleges for speeches she gave while she was in partial control of their budgets as a member of the House Higher Education Finance Committee in both 2017 and 2018. She was found guilty of the violations by the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board 3 weeks ago in order to return those funds on June 6th. Ms. Omar appears to be a serial career criminal and should not have access to our nation's highest secrets and intelligence. That is why I'm calling on our Congresswoman Angie Craig to protect both our national security and our respect of the rule of law. Tax fraud, immigration fraud, student loan fraud, perjury, bigamy, kickbacks, and campaign abuse fraud from the East Coast to the Mississippi River. If those charges have been
Not arrested. Not arrested. Has access to our nation's top secrets. Married her brother. Now is married to some white guy, where she funnels money into through his campaign consulting firm. So now she's worth millions of dollars. If Donald Trump wanted to do something big and kind of really set the tone, he would have her arrested right now, put in handcuffs, march her skinny butt down the halls of Congress with that dirty rag on her head, throw her on the very first plane, and get her ass back to Somalia. We have traitors, we have enemy, we have people that do not love America in positions of authority and power, and we're allowing them to stay. Don't tell me constitutional due process. Don't go there, because you, the left and the rhinos, have destroyed my Constitution. It has no semblance of what our founding fathers. You have brutalized our Constitution. I want action, and I want it now. As I told you earlier, the common man has more common sense, more intellect, more experience in life than the elites. And I found this young man, and this was, I thought, excellent, so I'm going to play it for you. It's his dissertation for about 2 minutes about how diversity is evil. Diversity is not a strength. Diversity is killing our nation. Watch this.
No, diversity is not our strength. Like, look around. Do you think that it's actually working? Does it look like it's actually working? Because every country that's gone in on multiculturalism is dealing with the same exact problems. Whether that's segregated communities that do not mix, whether that's rising cultural tensions, whether that's parallel societies with totally different values, or people living in the same country but with zero sense of unity. And you also have governments that are constantly trying to manage conflict instead of building progress. That's what diversity leads to. That's what multiculturalism leads to. Now, let's look at Japan. Japan did not sign up for that Western experiment that is failing terribly. Japan said no to open-ended immigration, no to mass cultural importing, no to the idea that a country should bend its identity to please everyone else on earth. Japan built its society around unity, right? Shared culture, shared expectations, and actual social cohesion. If you want to live there, you assimilate. You join their culture. You don't show up and demand that they change to fit you. You don't get a separate set of rules or a separate identity group inside of the country. And the results have spoken for themselves. Japan has one of the lowest crime rates in the world. They have insanely high levels of social trust. They have safe streets. They have a stable society with almost no internal ethnic conflict. They have a world-class economy and innovation without importing millions of people from everywhere else across the world. Look, I'm not against diversity in any capacity, but I am extremely 100% against the idea that diversity is our strength, that more diversity means more success. It doesn't. Or the idea that it's needed. Clearly it's not needed. Look at Japan. People in Japan aren't scared to walk out in the streets at night. They aren't afraid to take public transportation alone. They don't burn down cities when they're angry. They don't live in constant culture wars. Why? Because the country actually agrees on something, what it means to be Japanese. There's a shared framework and shared identity in Japan that we really don't see so strongly in many other Western countries, because we have started to import millions and millions of people under the banner of diversity and, well, it helps our economy, all of which are lies. Multiculturalism in the West has created a competition, not a community. It's everyone fighting for themselves, trying to protect their group, their language, their values, instead of being one nation. And the more diverse that it gets, the more divided everything becomes. And you can see this with the political polarization, the riots, the protests, the constant outrage, and the breakdown of citizenship and its trust in the government. The issue isn't immigration, it's importing cultures that refuse to assimilate and then pretending that calling it diversity magically fixes the consequences. Diversity itself isn't the issue, but the issue is pretending that there's like this equal equation and correlation to where when you increase diversity, it always comes with an increase in success and strength, which simply isn't true. Some diversity can be good, but it is not the case that the more diversity you have, the more successful your country will be.
To say that, I love his last statement. To say that there's more diversity equals more success, it's inverted. The more diversity is going to show you less success, doom. And he makes a great point about Japan, and I've talked about this, but he didn't mention this one thing. Why is Japan the way it is? Because there's one race. In America, since far back as the 60s and 70s, we only had two races that were truly, truly quantifiable in our census. It was 90+% white and around 10% black. And we had a lot of cohesion because we share the same God. We share the same language, the same cultural norms, the same founding leaders, the heroes that created America. We don't have that anymore. Whites are less than 55% of our population. Blacks have not gained anything since the 1960s. And now we have a brand new Hispanic, which is basically a hodgepodge of everything else in the almost 20% that did not exist less than 50 years ago. Can you not connect the dots? Can you not see what's happened to our nation? We have been demographically destroyed. Period. And people ask me, well, how do we change it? And my response is every single time they ask me, you're not going to vote your way out of it because our votes don't count. You're never going to legislate it out because the legislators are never going to have the courage to do it. You're not going to go in front of a judge and be able to have some kind of legalese. The judicial is broken. They're not good. So what's left? Honestly, what's left? And what's left is a violent purge of foreigners from our nation. And then when that happens, or at the same time, we go and do a violent purge of the leaders in our government that allowed this to happen, that not only allowed it to happen, but became multimillionaires because of it. This is not a fantasy I have. This isn't some, I think this will happen. History shows that this is going to happen. We have a body of Americans that have no recourse for their grievances. None. There's no recourse for the homeowner in Dearborn, Michigan, listening to five times of prayer. What do you think is going to happen? Let's play this. I like to play this game. Stop living in the present and let's look to the future. Let's say nothing changes. And let's say it's not 10 cities in America that are inundated with Muslims and third worlders. In 10 years, it's 50 towns and cities, 4 or 5 complete states. How do you think that ends? Let's go 20 years, and everything is accelerated. Now we have Muslim senators, Muslim congressmen, by the tunes of 10, 20, 30 congressmen, 40 congressmen, 50 congressmen that are Muslim, third worlders, Hispanics from Mexico and Latin America, 100 congressmen. What if there's 37 senators with dual allegiance, dual citizenship? State legislators are run by Muslims, third worlders. You don't think it's going to happen? Do you think that they're all going to stop at the mayor and the city council? Are you that naive? Are you that gullible? That they're just going to stop at school districts, school boards, and city council and mayors and chief of police? Are you insane? Are you actually insane? Or are they going to ramp up their ambitions and take over our Senate and our Congress? And then lo and behold, a real, true Muslim president rises up, second only to Barack Obama. How do you think this ends? Stop living in the present and thinking as if everything is okay, because it's not. Stop looking to the future and thinking that everything will just take care of itself. That is a fool's man's way to think. We are on a collision course of pain and suffering. You don't have to like anything about me, but you're going to have to acknowledge what I'm saying is factually true. It's a math problem now. They are becoming more of them than us. We are within 2 generations of being the minority in our own country. God bless America.